Dr. Harvey Karp, welcome to my living room.
Thank you. Happy to be with you.
Yes,
Socially distanced.
Yeah, socially distanced. I think that's going to be lifted though very soon. So I'm very excited about that. Where are you zooming in from?
Los Angeles. I live out on the other coast.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice. Well, thank you so much. It's pretty early out there, so I appreciate you joining me.
Of course. My pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to dive into your company, the Happiest Baby and the Snoo. I'm not a mother, but I've heard great things about the Snoo. So I'm looking forward to diving in. And I just have to thank you and your people. You sent me all this wonderful baby stuff. My brother and his wife, they're going to be having a baby in a couple months in August. So I look forward to sharing this with them.
Thanks. Well, we're proud. That's called Sleepy, which is a swaddle blanket. The New York Times rated that the #1 in America. So we're very proud of that and helping parents. Swaddling is kind of like an origami task. You know, you kind of get lost in the folds. But this is, we call it the 5-second swaddle because literally in 5 seconds, the baby's secured and really helps them sleep better and cry less.
Yeah, yeah. And isn't that the technology too behind the Snoo to have them very swaddled?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Actually, it turns out that I'm a pediatrician. I practiced for decades taking care of families in Los Angeles and trained back in New York City. But then I kind of discovered something or observed something, I guess I should say, which wasn't really appreciated. Everyone said, you know, babies, they don't sleep that well. It's going to take months before they sleep better. They're just babies. They need to eat all the time. And, you know, some babies cry. We don't even know why they cry, but they can cry for hours. We call it colic. Maybe it's stomach pain. And that just goes away also after, 3-4 months. And it didn't make sense to me. Why would we have these mysteries about babies? We've been around babies for thousands and thousands of years. If we could put a man on the moon, if we could speak to Bangalore, India in 4 seconds, why couldn't we figure out babies a little bit better? And so I started to study cultures around the world. And what I came to recognize as a key concept at that time, 20 years ago, everyone was worried, don't pick your baby up every time they cry, you'll spoil them. They'll get used to being, always responded to when they're upset. You got to discipline them or train them, which is kind of true. You do have to do that, but not until 9 to 12 months. That's when limit setting really comes in. In the first 6 months, you're trying to do something completely different, which is to build in your baby a sense of security, trust, confidence, and knowing that you're always going to be there for them. Because the key issue, and this gets to the Snoo and the Swaddle Blanket, the key mistake that we made is we thought that babies were ready to be born after 9 months. God knows women are ready after 7 months, but the babies are not. The babies are still, we give birth to fetuses, and it takes them a good 4 months, a 4th trimester, to really be ready to smile and coo and look around and be social players in the family. Those first 4 months, you are one big walking uterus, holding, rocking, shushing. And even if you do that 14 hours a day, your baby looks at you going, whoa, what's the big deal? You used to do it 24 hours a day. That is what they are expecting. And so here's the real perplexing part of it. People are told, oh, there's nothing you can do for a baby's sleep or crying, but just put him down and put him down the bed. We put him down on the back, unwrapped, in a quiet room. Everyone's tiptoeing. But inside the womb, it's not quiet. The sound is louder than a vacuum cleaner. The blood flow. They're constantly rocked. Every time you breathe, your diaphragm is pushing down on the top of the uterus, rocking your baby. They're held in these little balls. They're never flat on their backs. So when you put the baby on the back, looking up at the lights in a quiet, still bed, it's like making you sleep on a cement floor. It's like they take away everything that the baby is used to for sleep. And then we go, well, why isn't my baby sleeping better? Well, you just took away everything they knew for sleeping. And so when you imitate the womb all night long, then the babies sleep better and they cry less. So you might go, well, yeah, but then I don't sleep, right? I mean, anyone knows how to calm a crying baby and how to get them to sleep more. Drive them all night in the car. Drive from Newark to DC all night long, and the baby's going to be asleep in the back seat. And you would as well. We all do. We love the sound of wind and ocean, and we love rocking in boats and hammocks and things like that. But what wasn't known is it's like an irresistible stimulus for babies. And so that's why we built, well, I wrote this book that describes all of this called Happiest Baby on the Block, and it's a video, and we have thousands of educators teaching it all across the state of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Ah, there you go.
There you go.
Thank you very much. My mother would be proud.
Oh, no, and the cover art is so warm and inviting. You did an excellent job. Excellent.
Thanks. Well, what I'm especially happy about is, I mean, that's been read by millions. That's probably one of the most read parenting books ever. Because parents, you know, unless you've taken care of 5 brothers and sisters, you don't know how to take care of a baby. It's not rocket science, but it is technique driven. And so like the video, I don't even recommend the book, to be honest with you. Don't tell my publisher. But the video, the 30-minute video is the way you learn it, because you learn by watching. Kind of like learning how to tie your shoelaces, right? You're not going to read a book about that. You're going to watch a few examples, and then you'll practice it. And that's how you learn baby calming and sleep. But you need help. And ultimately, this is the real crazy making part of this for parents all across New Jersey and across the country. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks that a normal family is, you know, 2 parents, sometimes it's 1, but 2 parents and a child. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty normal, right? I mean, that's what your friends do for the most part. That's completely abnormal. That is the dumbest family you ever heard of. That's called the nuclear family. The concept of the nuclear family started about 70 years ago, about the same time as the nuclear bomb. You know what I mean? It is a destructive idea because, and you only know this once you have your babies, you need your family around. You need your mother and mother-in-law and sister and aunt. And that's the way people have always raised their kids until the last 70 years. And we've bought into this lie that, no, that's not normal. It's normal just for us to do it because a good mother can do everything. Well, you can, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be babied as much as you're babying the baby. That's the way it's done. But parents don't have that today. And now they're 2 worker families and there's a lot of stress. So what they need, and this is the whole summa summarum here, Snoo, which is this kind of responsive baby bed that rocks and shushes and imitates the womb all night long. And when the baby gets upset, it bounces and rocks a little bit more to imitate what you would do with the baby in your arms, is not a baby bed. It is your older sister. It is your mother-in-law who came and said, Lisa, you go to sleep. I'm going to hold and rock this baby all night long. If the baby gets upset, I'll rock and shush more. If I can't calm the baby down, I'll get you for a feeding. And when you do that, just like if you drove all night in the car, babies sleep an extra hour or 2. It's just what they do.
Wow. Well, I don't have kids, like I said, but I buy into exactly what you said, that it takes a village, because my mother, she worked full time. She went back to work 6 weeks. So I had my grandmother, I had my aunt, you know, that's how I grew up. So it's odd for me to even hear that people aren't doing that anymore. They're not having that support system. They shouldn't have to go at it alone.
No, but you know, as an adult, you figure, I'm too big for this town. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to Nashville. You know, you're exploring the world, which is what you do when you're a young adult.
Yeah.
But like a salmon going back upstream, you know, you kind of, when you're having a family, you want your family around. But by then, most people already have roots wherever they move to. And they've got their friends, but your friends are not going to be by you the same way your family will be. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I know you're calling in from LA, but locally, how we came together. So you actually donated the Snoo to Jefferson Washington Township Hospital to ease new mothers with kind of their anxiety with the COVID-19 pandemic. Mm-hmm. Do you mind talking a little bit about that?
No, I'm so glad you asked. So this, you think, well, this is a baby bed. It's kind of no, it's not. This is really a scientific advance. Like I said, it's replacing the extended family. To a certain extent, it's supporting nurses as well, because the nurses are short, especially with COVID, you know, they're calling out sick. The mothers, maybe they can't have family members visiting, or maybe the family members couldn't travel to see them. So the moms are more on their own. And so we've been donating these beds to hospitals all across the country, really around the world, just as our part to kind of help support our heroes, our, you know, medical responders who are there on the front line. and to reduce the spread of COVID. So if the mom is sick or is suspected of being sick, you don't want that baby then going with all the other babies. And the mom wants to be able to keep the baby with her. So, but the nurse doesn't want to keep going in and out because she doesn't want to get exposed either. So they can have a Snoo in the room with the mother who's like a little assistant nurse. Or if the baby is in the nursery, and especially if they're there for a longer period of time, like some babies are withdrawing from opiates. This is one of the common uses for the beds. Babies withdrawing from opiates need extra holding and rocking. They're very irritable. And the nurses don't have enough time to do that. So the bed acts like a little surrogate nurse, rocking and shushing these babies 12, 14 hours a day to give the babies what they need and help the nurses out. We've now done a study, and Jeff is part of that, showing that the bed reduces the workload of the nurse 1.7 hours a day, which is substantial. So she can, or he can, do the other things that are needed to take care of the babies who have medical needs.
So let me just talk about the technology with the Snoo. The bed can sense when the babies are crying or are fussing. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, so the bed can interpret when the baby is crying. It kind of senses that, like you said, and then respond. If you had a baby in your arms who's asleep, I'm going to tilt this down a tiny bit. You're just going to rock your baby slowly. Shh. Baby gets a little upset. You're going to start bouncing a little bit more. Shh. A little louder, a little more high pitched. The baby's really upset. You're going to stand up and put the baby over your shoulder. Shh. And then if the baby's still crying, you're going to feed that baby. Well, what happens with Snoo is it rocks slowly, but the baby cries. It goes a little bit faster and louder, a little bit faster, like you would. And then after a couple of minutes, it just shuts off, because if it's not calming a baby in a minute or so, that means the baby is hungry or needs a diaper change or something like that. So this is just it's like having, listen, most people today don't have nannies or night nurses, right? You're pretty well off if you have a nanny. Up until 100 years ago, everyone had 5 nannies. You had your grandmother, your aunt, your older sister, your next door neighbor's older daughter. Let me hold the baby. I want to hold it. And she's like a little mother holding the baby all day long. And you're washing dishes or cleaning clothes or taking care of your 3-year-old. That's the way it's supposed to be. But now we don't have that help. Most people can't afford that help. And with COVID, you can't even have your family visiting you. And so this bed is an extra member of the family. But from the hospital point of view, it's also a health benefit. So we have many studies underway now using the bed for babies withdrawing from opiates. We're using the bed to treat and prevent postpartum depression. We're doing studies on that now. We're using it to keep the baby safe in the hospital so the mother doesn't fall asleep with the baby in bed with her, because babies can then fall out of the bed in the hospital, or fall out of the bed at home for that matter, or get rolled over in the bed. So we've now measured, and this is going to sound unbelievable because the bed came out about 3.5 years ago. This is the most awarded baby product in history. It's in the Smithsonian Institution. It's been put in the permanent collection because it's such an iconic advance. And we've now measured over 100 million hours of baby sleep in this bed. And we're demonstrating that we can reduce infant sleep death. We believe it's going to be 90 to 95%. That's important because 3,600 babies die every year in the US in their sleep. 3,600 babies. That's 9/11. That's the number of Americans who died in 9/11, happening year after year after year. No change, no improvement. Year after year, all across America. And we believe we're going to be able to reduce those numbers by 90%. So we're super excited about that.
So the product's been out for 3.5 years. In your wildest dreams, obviously you believed in it 1,000%,
right.
But did you think it could make this big of an impact?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you
well, because it's doing what babies need, right? If you think about it, if you were just stayed up all night rocking and shushing a baby, that baby would sleep an extra hour. So it's really kind of like it's not a magic bed. You don't put them in and they sleep 8 hours. But you get that extra hour or two, you start linking their sleep cycles. By 2 months of age, on average, babies have a 7-hour sleep stretch. And then they feed and then they have more sleep. So babies are sleeping now 8, 9, 10 hours at night, which parents go, we doctors never thought it was possible.
Yeah.
But it is, and now we've studied, thousands and thousands of babies to prove the point.
Do
So
you,
yeah, so I kind of, I'm wondering, why is it taking so long to get everybody taking? Because we rent them. We rent them now. It's an expensive baby bed, so that's one of the things. I mean, it's like $1,300. So you go, whoa, that's like way too much. Although people spend that for a stroller. But the point is, we want everyone to be able to use it. So we rent the beds, ship them for free. It's under $4 a day to rent this bed for however long you want to, minimum of a month. $4, that's a friggin' Starbucks to get an hour or two more sleep, a safer baby, and get yourself a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, helper in the house, for under $4 a day. It's honestly the best value that you could possibly imagine when you have a kid.
yeah. Now, are you still practicing? Like, do you still have a medical practice out in LA? Or
No, it's been about a decade. This is more than a full-time job. I mean, we're now selling in Europe, in Australia, and Canada. We'll be selling in Asia. This is really, it's really the culmination of everything I've ever done. It's like that movie Slumdog Millionaire. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah.
Everything kind of comes into play, and I'm doing it with my wife, which is great. We've been together for 30 years, and we're a good team, and so yeah, we're building a company now of 100 people, and expanding that and getting this out into people I mean, this is in every state. It's in 60 hospitals all across the country, big hospitals, University of Chicago, Mount Sinai in New
I think
York.
every hospital should have it. I mean, every single
You're
one.
hired.
I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, well, actually it is. And what's going to happen is insurance companies will start paying for this, because we're going to demonstrate, the goal is to have a win-win-win, help families, help the community, help the hospitals, help the insurance companies, help everybody do better with this efficiency and health benefit. And
Yeah.
so we think that pretty much already, you know what? Over 50 major corporations give this as a benefit to their employees. You have a new baby, we're going to give you a rental Snoo for 6 months. Like Under Armour, not too far away from you in Baltimore, they give it to all of their employees with new babies. Google, Facebook, Qualcomm, Snapchat, Activision, Blizzard, lots of big companies are doing that already.
You know what I think is really cool though? That you offer it for rental. You could just easily sell it for $1,300 and make it accessible to only a segment of you could have easily done that.
Sure.
But you wanted to make it accessible to everybody because you believe in the importance. And I think that is so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, that was the goal. Actually, that was the hardest thing in building this bed, was to not have something that just went, 100,000 times so that it would break after you finish using it with your baby and you'd have to buy another one. We built it to go 10, 20, 30 million cycles. It's like a car engine almost. It's very reliable. So we could use it over and over. Of course, we clean everything, disinfect it, new soft goods, everything like that. So it's completely, pristine when you get the bed. But we wanted people to not have to have that heavy lift, because there's so many things you have to buy when you have a new baby, and use it as much as you need it, and then send it back. And we pay the shipping both ways. So it really is something that we're trying to make as accessible as possible. So we like to say that people buy this bed who can afford to buy it, and people buy it who can't afford not to buy it. Because they're truckers, they're teachers, they can't fall asleep on the job. They've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old to take care of. They can't afford not to sleep. And so come to our Instagram site. You'll see all the people, giving their feedback and how it's changed their lives. And we're very, very proud of that.
Yeah. Well, if kids are in the cards for me, you will be my first calls.
Well, your brother at least, right?
My brother, yes, they're due in August, so they probably know about it. Like I said, all my friends who have just had babies, they know about it. It's new. It's like the hot thing.
Well, now you're going to know more, and you'll tell your brother, "Oh, by the way, do you know this and this and this?" And he's going to be so impressed.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And do you have children?
Yes, I have a daughter, 36-year-old.
Oh, she's my age. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, she should be having a baby too. That's where we're trying to knock on her brain to remember, don't wait too long.
Yeah, your father, Her father and my father and mother.
Yeah.
The same thing. Like, hello. At a time, we just moved. So,
Yeah, there you
but
go.
this was so amazing. So for people watching, I know you shouted out your Instagram, but if people want to learn more, where else can they find you?
Well, there's a ton of information on our website, which is happiestbaby.com. We actually tried to get happiestbaby.calm, but that didn't work out. But we have lots and lots of free information, newsletters. You don't have to buy anything. You can just come and kind of get authoritative information that is accessible. And not just babies, by the way. I mean, there's a book called Happiest Toddler on the block, which is how to take kids 8 months to 5 years of age. And there you go. Thank you, Vanna. um, but here's the weird thing about toddlers. You know, when you're having a baby, you'll get books, you want to do it great, you'll get these products and things like that. And like never buy another book the rest of your kid's life. It's like you're just winging it from there on out. But in truth, between 8 months and 5, 6 years of age, you've built a person. You've built their sense of confidence, communication capabilities, delayed gratification. You need skills when you're raising a toddler. And now with COVID, it's even harder because you're locked into a little apartment or a little home with these primitives. I mean, a 2-year-old will spit and scratch and throw things at your head. They're Neanderthals. And they're cute, but there are special skills and techniques that you need to be able to successfully communicate. Most parents actually are doing it almost antithetical to what they need to be doing in terms of how to communicate with young kids to be able to guide their emotional development. So that's another thing. There's a video about that as well. So for people who don't want to read books, they can just watch a 30-minute video on that.
That's great. Well, thank you so, so much. I know we went beyond 15 minutes. We went almost a half hour, but this is so interesting.
I'm a blah, blah, blah.
No, it's okay. I am too. I look forward to meeting you one day when you're in the New York, New Jersey area.
Thanks. Thanks so much for inviting me on. Take care. Be safe.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.